A man has a choice. I chose the impossible. I chose to build rapture.
Yes, that's right. It's time for the second video game review, and this time we're doing Bioshock, a game that throws you into the action right away as the plane you are on, gee, who could have saw this coming, crash lands and strands you in the middle of the ocean. So, after we struggle to the surface real quickly, what you find yourself in is greeted by the giant structure of Rapture in front of you. What appears to be a giant lighthouse in the middle of the ocean. Very convenient. Also, a staircase that leads into the ocean for you to easily get on. More convenient. But we'll let that explain itself. Within minutes, we're greeted by the bathysphere, the method of transportation that takes you around Rapture. And soon, we will find out that there is more to Rapture than meets the eye. Despite the fact that I honestly didn't like the game so much, I have to say that this scene, and all the opening scenes really, are very visually impressive. In fact, the scale comparison between that whale and this underwater utopia makes you wonder just how much of the city goes unexplored. During the time that you're actually in the city, we may only go through one fraction of what we could possibly see in the sequels to come. You'll also notice things like these signs, all good things of this earth flow into the city, which gives the city a very interesting feel to it. Needless to say, as soon as we arrive in Rapture, things start going wrong. Confronted by our first enemies and very quickly being forced on the run, we quickly find a friendly voice in Rapture, the voice of Atlas, and several others who will contact you on your radio throughout your journey. And with that, we're off, being confronted by our first actual fighting enemy in just a few seconds. With a few whacks of our wrench, we clear the way, and soon we find ourselves at the heart of the game's promise and the real attractor: plasmids. Yes, advertised both in-game and out-of-game, plasmids can do many different things. They can throw electrical bolts at enemies, and then club them to death. They can throw fire bolts at things, and light them on fire. Or they can throw ice bolts at people, and ice them? Did that make any sense? I didn't think so. I should be more fair. There are some plasmids like this one, that let you turn Rapture's own security system on itself, and a few others that are pretty interesting. But no matter what plasmid you want to use, you're going to need Adam to get it and its upgrades. And to get that, you have to answer Bioshock's moral question.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question.
That's right. The build-up of the whole game is over the Little Sisters, and whether you will choose to harvest them or to rescue them. If you harvest them, you take the Atom Sea Slug from within, and you get more Atom, and therefore you can buy more things. But you get the guilt of knowing you killed a little girl. If, on the other hand, you'd like to take the moral high ground, you can use a tonic given to you by Dr. Tenenbaum in order to rescue the little girls, which nets you less points and less things to buy. But, on the other hand, you get the good ending if you save them all. However, even if you do save them, there's something I'd like to say now. Now, you're just going to have to excuse me for a minute. There's no game footage here because I'd like to explain something to everyone. Bioshock's moral choice system is a good idea in theory, but poorly executed. Developers really need to look more into this good versus evil character thing and think it through. For example, look at this. Now, if you rescue a little sister, you get 80 Atom, and you get the good choice, and you saved a little girl. If you harvest the sea slug, you kill the little sister, but you get double the Atom. Sounds fair, right? Good choice, less rewards. Bad choice, more rewards, and guilt. But that doesn't hold up so well when you actually do something like this. If you rescue 3 little sisters, you get 240 Atom total. Plus, you get a gift from Dr. Tenenbaum with 200 Atom and 2 other gifts and a teddy bear. And really, the 2 other gifts will always be worth more than the 40 Atom difference. That's it. When you harvest them, all you get is 480 Atom. No gifts, no special plasmids, and no tonics, and sometimes even special ammo and stuff comes with them. That means that if you save the Little Sisters, you get 40 less Atom, but you get all these good gifts, like Control Big Daddy, which is a very interesting plasmid, I have to say. But I guess in the end, what it boils down to is developers needing to think about this before they implement it. If you're going to offer a moral choice system, that's all good and fine, and you're going to give the good people less rewards, of course. But what you need to do is make sure you don't try to level the playing field for people that are both good and evil, because that just makes things that aren't fun for anyone, much less everyone. Okay, I promise that was the last rant. Now, in order to get the Atom from these Little Sisters, you're first going to have to get past their big, tough guardians, known as Big Daddies. And of course, at first the game throws you a couple freebies. For example, the first Big Daddy / Little Sister encounter you come to, the Little Sister's Big Daddy is thrown through a window 2 feet in front of you. But of course, not 2 rooms later, you come into contact with your first living Big Daddy. And as you can see, it's going to take all the ammo and that you have built up over this time. Armor piercing, anti-personnel, electric buck, everything you've got. These guys know how to take ammo, and even more impressive, although his only weapon seems to be that drill, he's very good at damaging you from a distance. But there's one thing I have to say about this game before we go any further, and it has a little to do with the Big Daddy fights. The whole system of this game is kind of disappointing in how it implements its life system, I suppose you could call it. I've only died a few times in this game, and right now you're seeing one of them. What happens to you when you die? You resurrect 15 seconds away from where you were before, with no penalty, no money loss, no ammo loss even. If you'll notice, the ammo that I had shot is gone, but that's because all the enemies don't come back to life when you die. Instead, you get resurrected, and your only penalty is a little 15-second walk. I died 4 times in this game, 3 of them to Big Daddies, and 2 of them were on purpose. That's right, I died on purpose. You know why? It helps save health packs. The game doesn't discourage that kind of play, and that really kind of makes me mad. As you can see, I came back and did nothing. I was able to just know where all the enemies were and watch out for that turret, and I hadn't gotten penalized or anything for my little excursion. But all in all, Bioshock's story is impressive. If you let it take you in, it will.
What's this, guys? An intruder! He is ugly! 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 Ugly!
As you can see from that, every character in Rapture has their own unique personality that's weird in its own way. But what I find ruining that for me is the scenes like this, where it's so dark you honestly cannot see what you're looking for. If I hadn't been reviewing this game, I would have had the brightness turned to maximum, just so I could see the game. And that's not a good choice, without a handheld light. Honestly, Bioshock felt like a game I really did want to like, honestly. But even though it was so mainstream. But it didn't deliver on what I really wanted to see in it. The story and graphics are amazing, but they did not focus enough on the action or give enough uniqueness to the plasmids and tonics. So overall, it was very disappointing.
I know you must feel like the unluckiest man in the world right now.
You have no idea. Overall, I gave Bioshock a 6 out of 10 in gameplay because it doesn't deliver on the action of the actual game. I gave it a 10 out of 10 for story because between audio files and actual character interaction, you will find yourself drawn in every second of the gameplay. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for WoW because even though the game does what it does well, it doesn't actually leave that much of an impression on me. For graphics, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Everything in this game, particularly the water effects, are amazing. For controls, I gave it an 8 out of 10 because some of the plasmids seem like they could be hard to aim, and it doesn't give you enough options sometimes for switching weapons on the fly. And total, I gave it a 40 out of 50, a B-. Now, here are just some extra things that I put in because I like to consider them when I'm looking for a game to buy, not even reviewing a game. Bioshock's replayability is very low because the only way to customize your character is through tonics, and you can just put as many of them as you want in, and they don't affect your gameplay that much. It does have a gimmick, which is the moral choice system, but as we've already discussed, it's not really a moral choice system. There's only one correct choice if you want to get the most out of it. It is not open-ended at all, and there is absolutely no multiplayer. Between all of this, I gave the score of my personal taste for this game a 35 out of 50, a C-. Bioshock was a decent game, but it didn't hook me in, and I could only play it for 2 hours. Only 2 hours I could force myself to play it, and that is not good game design.